Okay, I will be doing the reading from Sacajawea, and I know there's a more correct way to pronounce that. It's just I'm not quite sure, so I'm going to pronounce it as Sacajawea for this, and I apologize in advance. All right, the narrator of this excerpt, which means portion of Ruachaka's novel, Sacagawea, relating to the story Her Son Pomp. Sacagawea was a Shoshone interpreter on Lewis and Clark Corps of Discovery expedition in the early 1800s and was the only woman among the explorers. She proved invaluable in the expeditions dealing with the Shoshone, and her presence and that of her infant son convinced many of the other tribes they met, that the explorers were not a war party. Okay, so a Shoshone is a Native American tribe. Now, again, I am very sorry about my pronunciations here, but we're going to try it. Long ago, many of our people were sick, so our chiefs called on a medicine man to help them. His name was Man from the Sky. He went into his lodge, opened his medicine bundle, and prayed. When he was done, he told the people to bring all those who were sick to him. He would take them on a journey. He led the people to the Snake River, to a place in the hills. Then he went up the hill and tapped a rock with his stick. Healing water flowed from that rock. The people bathed in the water and grew well again. Okay, your good uncle, and good uncle is Captain William Clark. I guess they're going to call him Uncle in this story. Had made himself ill, which is sick. With all of his walking through the prickly pear cactus, his feet were covered with open wounds and blisters, so cuts. He was so tired that it was an effort for him to stand. Okay, hold on. I got to slide my picture over here now. Well, how'd that happen? Okay. For him to stand again after he sat upon the ground. Yet he did not wish to stop. His heart told him to keep seeking my people, even after Captain Lewis begged him to rest. So remember, this is coming from Sacagawea's point of view, is what I'm thinking. Although we had not yet found my relatives, we had come to the lands that I remembered. They were as clear in the eye of my heart as if I had slept but in a single night without seeing them, even though it had been 5 winters. My heart pounded, and it seemed as if it would burst from my chest when I first recognized a place where the river bent around a little island filled with wild onions. But I could not tell if I was filled with happiness at returning home, or if my heart was beating so fast because I was afraid of what I might find. What had happened to those close to my heart when the Minotaurs raided on that harsh day? So let's go down and see what they're talking about. That harsh day is when she was about 12 years old. Sacagawea and her friend Otter Woman were kidnapped by an enemy tribe. Okay, so that is what she's talking about. Were any of them still alive? Was my mother among the living? My brother stays here? What of my friends? Would I ever see the face of anyone from my childhood other than Otter Woman? It had been many moons since I had seen Otter Woman. It was so long now since those nights in the Minotauri village where we had sat with our heads close together, speaking to each other in our own language. Our language is one that your father has never wished to learn. Father. Sacagawea's husband is Toussaint Charbonneau, a French-Canadian fur trader. Okay. So her husband doesn't speak this language. Okay. There were so many questions in my mind, so many voices speaking to me from within. I could not answer all of them. So I showed no emotion, for I did not know what emotion it was that now made my whole body tremble as it did. This is the river on which my relatives live, I told them. My voice stayed calm. The 3 forks are no great distance from here. All of them were made happy by my words. Though he was ill, your good uncle, which is Clark, hugged me, and Captain Lewis looked at me with a brief smile and nodded his head. So right now, my brain is thinking to myself, it sounds like she has written this, Sacajawea has written this to her son, and she is calling Lewis, the explorer, Lewis from Lewis and Clark, the son's uncle, maybe because they are very close. Honestly, I don't know. It's just what my brain is thinking. Okay. Such a serious man Captain Lewis was, it always seemed as if there was something that made him doubt himself, even though he was good and strong. It is not that way with your good uncle. He always knows who he is. The red of his hair is a sign of the sunshine that lives in his heart. The spirit power in his heart is his friend. It never confuses him. Now I could tell them where we were going and how to show and help show them the way. The captains were so pleased that they gave me a beautiful string of blue beads that everyone loves. I used them as a belt. I did not own that belt long, but I still remember how good it felt to my touch, how proud I was to be useful. Now I was not just the one who set up the tent, who found the good roots. My face. Come on, why is it doing that? There we go. To show them the good roots to eat. I was also the one who could help show them the way to my people, the one who could help them get horses. Yes, firstborn son. Okay, my inference was right. She's talking to her firstborn son. Your good uncle told you that they expected this of me all along, but perhaps their hopes would not have come true. I might have been like that iron boat, unable to carry the load. Now it seems all they hoped of me would come true. My heart was singing, but we still had not met with my people. Okay. This indicates that there is now a change of setting or events. As we went along, I showed them things. There was the creek where we got the earth from, which we made our white paint. I taught them how a friend would paint the cheeks of someone he or she met. I told them that they should carry paint with them. If they ever met any of my people, they should use the vermilion paint to honor them in this way. I explained how we would greet friends. You know how it is done, firstborn son. We put our arms closest to our hearts, around each other's shoulders. We press our cheeks together like this. And what do we say? We say, ah, hai, ah, hai. I am so pleased. I am so pleased. They listened to me closely and nodded, but Captain Lewis needed to know something else. Captain Lewis was trying to find words to speak in the other languages. Though he sometimes got them wrong, as soon as he was able to turn them into his marks on white leaves, he was sure he understood perfectly. What do you call us? Captain Lewis asked. You are the red-haired captains, I answered. No, he said, looking unhappy. That is not what I mean, he said, speaking very softly, as if it were his words, not his question, that confused me. All of us. He gestured with his hands. Then he looked at our little party. Now, party is a group of people, not like, woohoo, let's go party. He motioned for York. And if you remember from the graphic novel, William Clark's lifelong black companion, an important member of the expedition who also happened to be Clark's slave. So the fact that he's calling him a companion shows that they might have more of a friendship than a slavery type vibe. Okay. He motioned for York to take Seaman. Okay, back down here. Seaman, the newfound dog. Okay, it's a dog. Okay. He motioned for York to take the dog, Seaman, and lead him off to the side. He had your father join them. I wonder who is your father. Then he made a circling motion, including him, your good uncle, and then other men who came from far away. All of us, he said. And now I just remembered who his father was. He said up there. He wanted our word for white men, but I still could not understand. Your father looked worried. Captain Clark caught my eye. He held out one of his hands and raised an eyebrow. Janie? The nickname he gave Sacajawea, so... Okay, Janie, he said. I had to say something or Captain Lewis would have been unhappy all that day. I remained silent, though, until Captain Lewis asked one more question. He made the motion in sign language that stands for our people. What would your people, the Snakes, call us? At last I thought I understood. Tababone, I said. Tababone. It is the word for those who are strangers, who might be enemies. Tababone, Captain Lewis said. He was very pleased. He smiled as he turned it back into black lines on a white leaf. Tababone. Despite his sickness, your good uncle kept scouting ahead, walking far along the shore and farther inland as we came down the river in the cottonwood canoes. Your father had sprained his ankle some days before, but he assured Captain Clark he was better now. He begged to go with him. You know how your father always wants to see something new, so your good uncle agreed, and I remained behind. The mountains were so close to the river now that we could no longer see the ranges of peaks beyond them. Captain Lewis was greatly worried that we would come to waterfalls or dangerous rapids. No, I told him, our river has no such places. It flows all the way just as it does now. Okay, so they are traveling in the water. He did not believe me, or at least he was not ready to let go of his worries. He was troubled so much by the insects that bit him. His eyes and face were always swollen, even though he covered his head each night within the thin cloth you can see through. He also kept urging, which is like trying to convince, your good uncle to cease his walking and allow him to take a turn looking for our people. Okay, so some people are in the boats. Some people are walking, or maybe they use boats to go certain places, get out, and then explore and go back to the boat. I'm not sure. Okay, but everyone in our party group, including Captain Lewis, knew that your good uncle was the better of the two men at speaking with the Indians. You could see in his face how he enjoyed meeting our people, sharing their food, and hearing their stories. Captain Lewis only showed such excitement when he looked at some small plant he had never seen before, or when an animal or bird new to him was brought in. Then he would spend much time making his marks on the white leaves. Ah, this is his journal. She's calling them white leaves. It's his notebook. Sometimes even drawing the exact shape of the fish or animal or bird. It was a fine day when we came to the place where I had been taken captive. There were the 3 forks of the river, that same river I had spoken to on that day long ago when I made my foolish wish to travel. The river had certainly heard me then. I whispered to it again. Almost done. Help, my friends, I said in a very soft voice. Then I stood quietly on the banks and looked. Now your good uncle was so sick that he had no wish to eat, yet he wanted to walk. He walked along the north branch, which was like part of the 3 rivers, with only your father and one other man by his side. The river almost took your father that day, firstborn son. They were there waiting, which is when you're in the river up to about your knees, out to a large island when your father lost his footing. He was pulled into a deep water by a fast current. Weak though he was, your good uncle came into the river after him, pulled him to safety. Then they continued on to the island where Captain Clark decided to camp for the night. His scout for my people had not succeeded. Well, I enjoyed that story, and I hope you did too. If you need any more help with it, just give me a message or a call or text, or anything.